What story have you created for yourself? We talk about if we change our thinking, we'll change our life. Well, part of that thinking part, that belief part, is the story we've told ourselves about ourselves, what character we're playing in our story. That this is the essence of changing our thinking to change our life. I keep repeating that saying, and I've repeated it for months and months and months on these calls, because thinking are the processes that are happening in our brain a lot of times are unconscious. So there's a chapter in 177 Mental Toughness Secrets where he talks about thinking about what we're thinking about, metacognition. Do we think about what we're thinking about? And a lot of times these types of things, are we thinking about the narrative that we've created for ourselves? Are we thinking about the story that we're replaying in our head? Some things that are really important that Ed Mylett said on that video, he said, when you meet people and you really start to get to know them, they will either talk about their childhood and how they grew up or some really emotional time. It's so true. I meet a lot of people and I have conversations with a lot of people. And normally when you get to know them, there's always going to be some form of pain, trauma, high emotional state, or childhood, right? The formative years that people typically bring up, right? And so, like he said, learning how to change this story has to start with something that we can start to create emotionally inside of us. I'm not going to pull up 177 Mental Toughness Secrets, but if I did, there's another chapter in there that talks about us being emotional creatures. And so everything that we do is for an emotion. The things that we go after are to fulfill an emotional need, right? And so this starts with the story. Here's some of the things in case you didn't take notes, right? In case you didn't take notes, I took some notes for you. One of the things that Ed Mylett said that I'm going to start writing, I'm going to put on my master plan to energize and focus. I'm addicted to the expansion of my being. Ron saw that, right? I'm addicted to the expansion of my being. What a powerful statement. What a powerful state. Are you addicted to the expansion of your being, of who you are? It's huge. It's going to be on my master plan to energize and focus. I'm going to say it over and over again now. I'm addicted to the expansion of my being. That's a big deal because we have to grow. We have to grow. And so are you addicted to that side of it? Talked about you're the lead character in your story. You and God are the co-authors of your story. First off, do you see yourself as such? Do you see yourself as the main character of your story, of life, of your life? Or are you a supporting character in other people's life, right? You're the main character in your story. You and God are the co-authors. So what are we creating? And this is the best part. You get to create it. You get to create it. No one else gets to dictate that. Your parents don't get to dictate it. Your spouse doesn't. Your kids don't. Your coworkers don't. Like no one gets to dictate who you are in your story. So number one, Ed Mylett said, what's your narrative? Who are you in your story? Are you the hero? Are you the villain? Are you the overcomer? Are you the down and out? Are you the card stacked against me? Woe is me. My luck is always bad. I always win. I'm better than. I'm not better than. I'm less than. I'm not worthy. Like what's your narrative? Have you spent any time even thinking about the narrative that you're playing out? Change your thinking, you change your life, right? So we got to spend some time thinking about like what are the narratives that are playing out? Who am I in this main story? Am I the person that changes the legacy forever? Am I the one that is the overcomer? Am I the one that is the hero all the time? Like who am I in this story? Who do you want to be in this story of yours? So number one, he said, what's your narrative? What's the narrative you're playing? What's the narrative? Number two, he said, how true is the story you're playing? The story that you have the reticular activating system he talks about, right, is our brains kind of locating what we want it to see. So we talked about this last week, right? Like what you appreciate appreciates, right? Showing gratitude for people, being grateful, you'll see more things to be grateful for, right? Whatever you choose to see, you'll get more of, right? Whatever your view is what you're going to get more of. I think we were listening to John Maxwell last week that talked about that. So how true is the story you're playing? How true is the story? Is the story that, again, you don't have good luck? The bad things always happen to you, right? That your family never sees anything good? That if it's not one thing, it's another, right? Is that the story? Is that the story? And if so, how true is it? How true is that story? Do you use superlatives? Right? This is something me and my wife get into, right? Heated conversations about, is because she likes to use superlatives. You always, or you never. And then I'm always like the guy, like, well, this one time I did that. So that means it can't be always, right? She hates those conversations, right? But it's true, because I'm just trying to point out that that story is not true. Like, it's not a true story. If you can't say always, if it's happened once or twice. Anyways, that's so don't take that marriage advice if anybody's married. Like, that's probably not the smartest way to approach it. But anyway, is the story true that you're telling yourself, right? Is the story true? You have to identify that. Number 3, how old is the story? And Mylette said, how old is this story? Is it something that you've been holding on to since you were a child? Is just who you were, right? Who you've always been? He said, like, how long are you going to hold on to that divorce? How long are you going to hold on to that breakup? How long are you going to hold on to that bankruptcy as the defining story of who you are and where your life is and what you can have and can't have? How old is it? These are things you have to spend some time thinking about, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to just be able to answer all these, maybe if you've never thought about them, but have you spent 30 minutes with yourself in the morning? Do you spend an hour with yourself every day to really just dive into your thoughts, to your story, to how true this is? Not just this is how I've been, but like really evaluating, how old is this? How old is this narrative? How long have I been telling myself that this is who I am or this is how I have to be? Really got to evaluate. Number 4 is the biggest question, I think, on there. He said, does this story serve me? Does the story you're telling yourself, does it serve you to now getting to the life that you want? Again, we're on this call because we want to go off and be the people that design our ideal life. We want to get to the life we don't need a break from. We want more happiness, more peace, more joy, more financial stability, more time, like all the things. We want more of it. So is the story that we have playing in our mind, the narrative that we have, who we believe we are and have been, does that now serve us in order to get us to that next place? If it does not, that's why we got to rewrite the story. More than likely, just in all honesty, more than likely, the story does not serve you. Because if it was serving you, it would help you get to that place. You get there faster because you have a different narrative, you have a different story. So whatever that story is that you're playing in your mind, it's probably not serving you to get to this next place, this next destination in life. And this is in all the areas. Maybe the story you have about what you've seen in your family around health maybe isn't serving you to be the healthiest version of yourself. Maybe what you've seen or the story you're playing out in your mind about financial success and what that looks like and how to achieve it and right how money is to be used, maybe that story is not helping you, right? Helping you get to that place. So we have to really start to evaluate, does the story serve me? Does the story serve me? Ron, I see your question. I'm going to get in there. Does the story serve me? If it's not serving you, you got to get rid of it. That's why we got to rewrite the story. That's why we got to rewrite the narrative. Number 5, what would it need to be in order for it to serve me? What would the story need to be in order for it to serve me? This is where affirmations come in. This is where you unlearning and relearning new things comes in. Is because now you can start to think, if I do want to be a millionaire, what story do I have to tell myself about money in order for this to happen? Because it's probably not the story I'm telling myself now. There's probably a different story I got to tell myself. If I really want to be healthy, if I really want to create a legacy, if I really want to be, right, the emotional support of my family, whatever it is, what does the story need to be? Like, who do I need to become? What do I need to say to myself? What are the things that I need to believe in order for that to now happen? Those last 2 questions, does this serve me? And then what would the story need to be in order for it to serve me? is where I want us to really dive in. I really want you to dive in this week and do some soul search and do some mind work, do some heart work, right? Like really figure out like what is this story that I've been telling myself because it's gotten me to this point. And again, Ed Milet has said it. I've said it before. That story that you've created probably served you in a season. That's the tough part because it probably did serve you in a season. Like Ed said, he was like, I had some stories that created extreme amounts of wealth for me, but they were not healthy for me emotionally. So once I got to the place of having the wealth, I had to change the story so I could live emotionally better because that wasn't the way that I was going to do it. So there's probably some things that you have that have served you to get to this point in life. But we're talking about getting to the next point in life. So those same things have to change in order for you to get there. That's it. That's the key. Ron asked the question, how can one become addicted to their expansion? My opinion, right? Because I don't know the full answer to that. My opinion is to constantly grow. Anything that you do more of that feeds more of your need, your self-confidence, your worth, those things, you can become addicted to. Tony Robbins will talk about our 6 basic human needs, right? Certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, growth and contribution. I always miss a couple, but you can look them up. 6 basic human needs. He says if we can connect, if we can do an activity or something that fulfills 3 of our basic human needs, it can become an addiction. If we can do something that fulfills 3 of our basic human needs, it can become an addiction, right? And so if growth, if reading, if getting around the right circles, if you being in seeing your life expand, seeing more opportunities come your way, whatever it is, it could create certainty, it could create significance. That's another one. It could create significance. It can create the growth and contribution side. And then all of a sudden, you now want this more and more. The more that you do it, the more that you see positive results, the more that it's growing and, oh man, it's going to feel good. It's like people that get addicted to the gym because they see results, because it makes them feel good, because people start saying, oh, you look good. Oh, you've been losing weight. Oh man, your body looks good. And you get this and you feel good inside and people externally are telling you feel good. And right, like whatever it is, people get addicted to that process. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym every day now. Well, that could be the same exact thing. Getting addicted to the expansion of your being is saying, man, I feel myself growing. People notice it. I notice it. I'm more certain. I'm more confident now. I have, right, more faith, more health, more financial stability, more whatever like I'm looking for, more joy, more peace. I have more of it. And now I want more. I just want to do it more. I want whatever I was doing, let me do more of that. That's how I think one can become addicted to the expansion of their being. And again, I think it's something we should all be working towards. We should all be working towards growing who we are, expanding our being. When you can become more, you can contribute more. You can do more in life if you can become more, right? And so life is about who we become. It's not about what we do. It's about who we become. And so if you can start leaning in and pressing in on the fact that like you got to grow, we got to learn, we got to expand, we got to have more capacity, we got to get better, and good things will happen. So it's a great question. Last thing that I wrote down, what is your story costing you? The current story that you have right now, what is it costing you? Is it costing you some progress, some progression, some forward movement because you want to be safe, because you got hurt in the past and you realize the way that you got hurt is to kind of shelter and shield and not try? Maybe you shot for a dream, you thought you were going to get there, and then life happened to you. And so you're like, man, that feels horrible. I'm never going to go after the big dream anymore because I know what that feels like. So I'm going to live a smaller life. I'm going to live a more comfortable life. So now I'm not going, like, what is your story costing you? I want you to think about that this week. I want you to dive in and think like, man, the story that I'm telling myself about myself, the narrative I have about who I am, the character I am in my story, how is this serving me? And if it's not, what is this costing me? What is this costing me? And then what would it need to be in order for it to serve me? What would it need to be in order for it to serve me? I love you guys. I want y'all to win. I want y'all to win. You deserve to win. Your families deserve to win. You guys have to go out there and do the work. You change your thinking, you change your life. If you take some of these things in and you really start to think about it, you spend time with yourself, not with the world, not with social media, not with the external things. You spend time with yourself and start to develop answers to these questions and start to see your progress, start to change your narrative, start to change your beliefs. Your life will change, y'all. That's the way it goes. Love you guys. Enjoy your Monday. Go out there, do something that scares you today. I'll see you again on Wednesday. All right. Take care, y'all.